Welcome to our third episode of the Paragon Path, Archers Go Farther. We have tonight with us Baron Squire Vincent Bechtool, Baron Squire Aiden, and Aeolus to talk about the ways you can improve your archer game. All right, we are live. We are recording. So thank you everyone for coming to our third episode of the Paragon Path. This is the Archer one. I haven't come up with a name for it yet. They've all been an internal rhyme of some kind, and I haven't got a good one with Archer. So we'll work on that at some point tonight. But with us today, we have two of our Paragon Archers, and I'll have them introduce themselves. Aiden's in the top corner.
I am Aiden from Mystic Dawn of Polaris. I have been in the game since 2007, so a long time. Yeah.
Well, I'm Vincent Bechtool. I'm from Icehaven. Been in since 2009, and the years are blending together at this point. And I don't remember when I got my Paragon. It was a while ago.
I was there. I remember that.
I remember being there too, but
I'm glad you were there. That's a good thing. All right, so to start off, we always want to make a kind of rubric for what everyone is looking for. Now, obviously, none of us are monarchs at the moment, so we can't hand out paragons. But as paragons, we can kind of set a standard for what we'd like to see in the next upcoming paragons. So for you, what is the difference between a good player, a good level 6, and a paragon?
Well, for me, a level 6 is somebody who knows their abilities. They can send a bunch of arrows downrange, more or less hit people. But a Paragon knows when to use what arrow and can send them exactly where they need to go. So there's both the knowledge component, the tactical component, and the skill component of shooting the bow.
Yep. I think a level 6 is somebody who has access to all of the class abilities, but a Paragon is somebody who's an expert at using all of those abilities.
Cool. All right, that makes sense. So that's what we've got set up for us. Moving to our next question, and this is where, if you haven't joined us before, this is a lot more meta and tactics than like specific abilities. We will talk about some specific abilities, but most of this is going to be broader sense. So our first question is, where does the archer fit on the battlefield? Roles, positioning, kind of the meta, that where it fits, things it's good at, things it's not good at.
I don't think there's really any set space for the archer. There are many different roles that they could be playing. You can be 50 feet back, shooting behind the lines, or you can get right up in people's faces. It's about knowing when to do which.
All right. Personally, for me, the way I always play it, I'm the guy who takes out the support people. Like, I'm never the guy who's picking off a warrior 6 different times to make him go down. I'm the guy who's shooting the healer that comes to heal the warrior, or the druid that's heart of the swarm, or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for me, it's mainly just taking out the support structure of the team. Then the whole thing falls apart.
Mm-hmm. True. In larger battle games where you have, at Keep 2 years ago, we had 60 some archers on the field. How does that affect your tactics involving, if you have that opportunity to, actually volley with some people, are you going to play into that or try to stand out from everyone?
I typically don't go for the volley. In my opinion, you're either going to hit somebody in the head or miss. And that makes up about 70% of where your volley is going. I'd prefer to wait until they're a bit closer before I can actually make shots that count.
We've got Aeolus. He's still muted, but he's here.
Is that better?
Yes, there we go. Hello. Introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Aeolus from Ethereal Tides. Paragon Archer for a couple years now, but with COVID, I don't know what really counts. So that's me.
We're talking about our first question. Our where does Archer fit on the battlefield? Do you have any input
Boy,
on
wherever you want to put them.
wherever you want to put him?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really versatile class. It's amazing how many different ways people play it and everything else. I tend to be a mid-range or frontline archer, but I've seen people effectively play wherever they want. I personally am mid-range frontline myself.
That's it seems like we have kind of the gambit here because I know Ben stands a little bit farther back. He's got that long range shot that he does. Aiden, I've seen you run Archer on a Phoenix League field, which is similar to what Aeolus does. You're up front, you're in the middles, you're kind of like 3 feet from the front line, but not standing at someone's face with a stick.
Right, like I can definitely do distance, but I don't mind getting up close with a bow. Yeah.
Right. It's very interesting the very big change. Like a lot of people assume, looking at the classroom and outside, if they haven't played it, oh, you're supposed to stand back, way back there with the red spot healers and the bard playing Song of Power and do that. But I mean, we've all seen very active active archers running and playing at all ranges.
I know one thing that gets more and more common as you get better is you'll get your team to say, okay, you take care of these 3 people, or your job is this, or your job is that. Some of the battle games you get really specific where you have, it sucks, but you have people you concentrate on because someone needs to control those people, and with the ranges and everything else you have with archery, you're really depending on what special arrows you're using.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get told to go after the white with silver.
Yeah. We're going to move one of our questions actually because we're hitting on the recommended tactics and target acquisition. So we're going to skip over our third question and jump to the tactics because we are talking about picking and choosing targets, and moving. We don't necessarily, as archers, you guys don't move the field necessarily as much, but you do control the field in a very personal way from, possibly 50 feet back. So what are some recommended tactics that you guys have seen or have done that works really well as an archer?
Well, you saying that you don't really move the field. An archer with enough intimidation can entirely move the field.
Mm-hmm.
Just having a bow and being within 30 feet of people, they will start moving the other way.
The sharks and minnows?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite things is just holding an arrow not even drawn back and just walking at people. You can shove entire groups. You don't even need the spell.
If it works, it works. It's hard to argue against. I mean, I'm thinking back, you guys have done that a couple times, and it's not an active spell you're using. You're just like, I have a bow.
I've done it with no arrow knocked. Just the bow. Like I don't have an arrow, and people start moving away.
Yep.
That's a fantastic threat.
He might have an arrow behind his back. Oh no. It works.
The other side of that too is that there are times too where 2 or 3 players from the opposite team are told to suppress you as the archer, so you can really move those select people to whatever side you need them on. If you need them out of the way on the left, you move to the right, and they will move with you. So a lot of times, paying attention to who's paying attention to you, you can really monopolize on that.
Some very
if you catch it.
Counter tactics, planning, espionage kind of thing, where you're seeing a reaction, changing and reacting that reaction, and making what you want to happen, which is ultimately what Paragons in our game are supposed to be able to do. Is they're controlling the field, they're doing better than everyone else essentially. So we touched on the target acquisition a little bit there. What are some of your primary targets? I mean, obviously the people going after you or the ones that you've been told to suppress or deal with, but are there any targets that really stand out?
Healers. Druids.
Shields, armor, groups of people. Pretty much anyone that your other teammates are afraid of.
Okay. It's That's interesting. It does make a lot of sense because you have the range on it. Because as a spellcaster, we have standard about 20 feet and then a 50-footer, and those don't always work. But with an arrow, you've got, especially with some of the skills that you guys have, you've got 50, 60, 70 feet if you really want to push it.
Higher, yeah.
Go higher than that? All right.
Yeah.
You got 100, 200 feet? What are we talking?
150,
100
160.
That's a lot of range. That is.
It is, and they have to stand still.
Yeah, and the thing is, we also have a bunch of specialty arrows. So we also have answers for every one of those things.
Right.
We have answers for armor. We have answers for shields. We have answers for groups of people. We have answers for people who are insubstantial. We have everything. Yeah.
Nothing's more fun than taking a druid who enchanted the heck out of himself and is walking up like he's hot stuff, and you just peg him right in the chest with a phase arrow.
Yep.
Just,
Yep.
just ignore it. Just go right through.
Yep. Or a group of people with shields, and you bounce that arrow off of the ground, and then each one of those shields, and they're all broken now. Yep.
Broken or pinned.
Yep.
Yeah. Shields are giant targets, I've been told. There's multiple times I've been running around as a bard and someone just says, don't bring the shield if you're going against archers. They'll just hit it. Your song doesn't protect against it. Song of deflection. So just run without it and you'll be a smaller target most of the time. So
at the very least, a more uneven target.
Right. Yeah. There's other ways to get around it, but it's still not perfect. Okay, so going back to our other question, because we rearranged our questions a little bit, because this is a discussion. It's going to change. It's going to be alive. What are skills you guys think you want to focus on in game to get better?
Really, at a certain point, you got to start teaching other people, because then you evaluate your own form as you help them advance. At a certain point, you can't exercise anymore. You hit that plateau. That's where you start teaching and sharpening that way. To me, anyway.
You guys?
I know one of the common problems I see with archers coming up is you get so focused that you lose situational awareness, and you get blindsided a lot. People roll you a lot. So whether you're doing a turret, gun, or whatever, learning how to be really aware of what's going on around you and not pinpoint super. Because as you get more accurate and you take those longer shots, you do focus. So working on what's going on around you all the time, really something you can strive to get better.
One skill that I think is really important when you're an archer, learning single sword. You can't hit someone with your bow.
I mean, you can, but they get mad.
As an archer, you are also a target. Like, people will charge after you, and you need to be able to use a sword. Yeah,
that's it's an interesting point, because it is actually happening more in the South. There are a lot of sword knights that are going towards archer and druid with a bow, so they don't have to work during battle games. They can work during tournaments, but during that battle game, they've got a bow, and if you come to stick them, well, they're a sword knight.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you lose either way. You got to deal with them a different direction. That's a really good point to work on single. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You're allowed more than a single sword. You can have up to as many as you want to carry.
Yep.
But then you'd have to drop your bow, obviously. Or if you've got, the fancy hand crossbows that got the strap or anything, you can just drop it and go to stick.
You don't have to drop it. Just hold it behind your back.
That's true.
If you're going to dual wield, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a point I think people probably forget, that you are still allowed to wield short swords or short weapons of any kind that you want that aren't hinged. So Use your entire library of weapons and equipment.
Oh yes, definitely keep them with you. I always have a sword and a dagger.
Yeah. You needed to.
Hold on a second. Okay. Oh, okay. So I lost my train of thought. We're back. We're good. Moving on to our next question. This is something that I think is really important, and it does touch on the teaching point you talked about earlier, Vincent. When we start getting to a certain point, either in Path of the Warrior or in Paragonhood, you start getting to a point where you are worth 4 or 5 people on a field, and you have to tone it down, but you still want to get better. What are some things that you guys have done or seen on the field that you can do to continue helping your part grow and having fun, but also you yourself grow as a Paragon or becoming a Paragon?
Go the distance. No, I mean, like, go as far away from people as you can and just work on your distance shots. Like, go as far as you accurately can. That way, it's going to slow you down so you're not decimating an entire team in 4 or 5 seconds. You've got to pick and choose, and you're going to miss more often, just by default. People move.
Playing without special arrows, I do that in different games. It makes a huge difference as far as not having that extra arrows that do special things. Makes you think about things a lot different.
Yeah.
Our game right now is all about balance. I think that you really need to be able to decide between winning and everybody having fun. If you notice that you winning is making other people not have fun, then maybe it's time to put down the bow for a little while or find a different way to use it so that there's better balance in the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are ultimately here to make everyone have fun, or as many people as possible have fun. Did I just freeze? No, Discord.
It is a buggy piece of software at times.
All right. I think
For
it
being
came
the
back.
best, it's really the worst.
Yay, we're back. Okay. Luckily, I can fix this in post.
All right.
I just want to make sure OBS is still recording. Good, it is. All right. Great.
You don't have video, though, John.
How about now?
Nope.
No, I can see the video.
Oh, you
Yeah,
can?
you can hear you just fine.
I've got video on my
Is
screen.
it me? Oh, there it goes.
It's you.
Sometimes you got to click into it.
It's just me.
All right. Sorry, let me get reset. Okay, there we go. We were doing how to play and not ruin people's fun.
Balance.
Oh no, I've got to get the window capture back up. Hold on. Sorry.
Good job.
There we go. Okay. Balance. Yes, keeping everyone on the same page of having fun. Not, playing the shoot someone in the leg and move on, because legging and leaving is not a nice tactic, but it is effective but not nice.
I would say it's a great tactic for large battle games, because then a healer's going to come along, or at least they're more likely to.
Oh, like a
And then you
bait.
can shoot.
Oh.
But in small scale games, the leg 'em and leave 'em stuff it's not fun.
No. I hadn't thought about baiting healers.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite thing. It is the best.
Just leg someone that's important and then wait for the healer to come and then kill the healer. Great. Mercy killed the
I learned
person
that.
too.
I learned that from the guy in the movie Shooter.
All right. Real life bleeding in. Equipment. So archers have probably some of the most sensitive and important to be safe equipment on the field. What do you guys recommend bow wise? How to keep, like, anything that involves equipment, how to keep care of it, make sure it's maintained. I will put the little bit on the end of is crossbow archer viable, or is that just more of a niche fun thing?
I would say it is viable. If you're an in-your-face archer and not looking for super long distance, crossbow is a great option for you. But the flip side is an archer with a recurve or a longbow or even a short bow can hit those long shots and the short shots.
Mm-hmm.
And speed.
Yeah.
I can lose 5 arrows easily, one cross. Typical.
Oh,
Right.
true.
It's that much.
It is a. I mean, that's always been the argument of crossbow versus bow. The bowman can, although it takes a lot more skill and time to get to that point that you can shoot, 5 shots. Anybody can pick up a crossbow. But it is part of our game, so we've got to discuss it. Equipment, care, maintenance, kinds of arrows, because there are 2 major kinds that I've seen. We've got a flat head and we've got the rounded head. What are the differences really in that? I'm not a good archer, but Aeolus can attest. I am mediocre at best.
You do better than you think. I'm
The
a
roundhead ones. Yeah, the roundhead ones are definitely better. They fly straighter. They have less wobble. I mean, in Amcard, we spent years and years trying to find the perfect arrowhead, and like the group has pretty much landed on these 2 main shapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They bounce.
That's a
Yeah,
big
we're
thing
talking
in
like
Hearthstone.
on my long distance shots, you're talking like a 60-foot difference between the 2 head types.
Mm-hmm.
It's just night and day.
Mm-hmm. So the rounded arrow types, we like those. Now, those are much harder to get your hands on, it feels like. Partially because the stop sign, the octagon or hexagon shaped arrows are very readily available in DAG, and as long as they use a different foam than they normally do, they're legal in our game. Yeah.
Amazon.
I do. Amazon, yeah.
And now those are I'm spacing on the name. What are they called?
They're
Gamma
like
ball?
gamma balls, yeah,
we go.
but
Okay.
not the open cell ones. These are the closed cell ones.
Okay.
Yep.
Closed cell
You
gamma
can buy a whole
balls.
bag and I'll get you.
Sweet. Closed cell gamma balls to get that rounded front cover or that rounded front tip so that you have a better shot overall.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Physics and fun things.
Yeah.
Bow maintenance. So I've got 2 bows. One of them is fiberglass and was $35 because I'm willing to block a shot with that one. The other one is wood and I don't want it to break. But maintaining your bow, keeping that is a very important part. Obviously, we always want to maintain our equipment, but bows are something that I don't think everyone knows the maintenance about or any of the real tips and tricks to keep that bow in prime condition.
Well, speaking from the perspective of a takedown fiberglass, you don't want to take it all the way apart every time, but you do want to loosen the limbs if it's going to be sitting for a while. Because those screws will eventually start cracking the layers. Every bow, you want to take the string off after every single use. End of the day, string comes off. I prefer to keep mine in an oiled cloth because that keeps it from getting dry and brittle.
I pretty much only run fiberglass now. Trust them better. They're more all-weather. Humidity doesn't seem to affect them as much. Wax your strings. Huge difference. You wax your strings. It's messy. I'm a pain in the butt. It'll make them last way longer, and they'll shoot a lot better.
Yep.
There's actually a special wax. It's dirt cheap. Up any book. But I really have gone to fiberglass. I'm a horsebow guy, so Ollie Bow has a lot of really good horsebows that are fiberglass. Weights, and their weights tend to be pretty good. Amazon has it's a longer horse you see a lot of people use, and the weights are really good on that one. the name of it off the top of my head. I've got one of those as well, too, for a longer. I shy away from wood.
Also, from a letting other people use your bow perspective,
Mhm.
I would hand over. I see Aiden shaking his head, but
Just a no.
I do frequently let other people try out my bow, use my bow, stuff like that. But I have a fiberglass bow. If I had a wooden bow, I would not be letting people use it because you overdraw a wooden bow, they don't survive.
Mhm.
We actually had somebody at Ice Haven who had a really, really nice like antique bow. It had belonged to their grandfather or something like that. They're like they handed it to some random newbie that walked up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, crack."
Oh,
It
that
was
is
done.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use only wooden bows, and it's not that I think that it's going to break while they're holding it. It's just that I know that it could, and I don't want to be responsible for that.
He's more likely to.
Yeah.
It's an
What do you
investment.
What do you guys use?
What are we
Do you guys
using?
carbon fiber or fiberglass, or what are you guys using?
For my bow, it's fiberglass takedown. It's a PSE Razorback. I used to use the old Buckeye, but they discontinued it. Made me sad.
How about your arrow shaft?
Oh, arrows. Sorry,
Yeah,
you've
it's the
been
other
cutting
point.
in and out a little bit.
Sorry.
No worries. I use personally the Gander Mountain Tech Hunter, which I know you can't get anymore, and it made me sad, but I bought out their entire stock. So I have probably about another 60 of these ready to go.
Now these are screw in tip fiberglass
Yep.
with. I've noticed they've got the smaller, the cap there. Make sure you've got your nice disc
Yep.
at the top.
Use machine screws.
Yeah. I've noticed that a lot of the higher end archers use smaller fletching. Like they're not as long, but they're wider. Yeah. Have you guys seen that affects it more or not really?
I don't think it affects it much, but I've noticed that these little guys don't get damaged as much.
No.
That's a good point. Make sure that your equipment doesn't need repair every 30 seconds.
Yes.
So some other equipment that I would highly suggest: interchangeable covers for your arrows.
Yeah.
Yes, like especially if you play sniper at all, having quick change covers is amazing.
Now you're talking for quick change off the field, so that when you come to the field, you have your correct amount of arrow covers.
Well,
I mean, unless
that's
you're sniper,
for
yeah.
every other level. But once you get to 6 and you get sniper, no, it's on the field. You can literally switch out your arrows. Yep,
Okay,
that is why sniper is amazing.
Yep.
it's a good point because it is
I've seen a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of guys using the flus now, and they are. And I've played around with them. I've got probably a dozen of them. They seem to be a little more accurate. They are a little bit slower, but they're just a lot more fragile. You need to store arrows in your quiver, the round side down, and everything else. So you can't carry as many as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they're way more expensive. And then the shafts themselves are aluminum, so when they get stepped on,
Yeah.
I use carbon fiber myself for my, and in between each game now, I always check my shaft. I'll give them all a wiggle, and sometimes I carry 60, 70 shafts, so it can take a while. I make sure the heads are on, make sure the shafts are solid. We had an incident in an indoor gym where during a game, someone had stepped on one of my shafts, and I recovered it, pulled it on my quiver later on in the game, pulled back, and when I released, the head broke off.
Oof.
And it actually pierced the shield, it cored a shield. Scary moment, very, very, very scary moment. So in between every game, I check everything's solid, shafts are good. I even tune, if you spin your arrow, you can actually tune your head a little bit to get a little more accuracy out of it. But I think the importance of always checking your gear, especially your arrows, you can't put enough importance. That could have been really, really bad. It happened.
Yeah, it's
One other thing.
No, go. Yeah.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring up in regards to arrows is the spine of the arrow, which refers to the amount of flex that it has. Because we have heavier heads on the arrows, you need a little stiffer spine than the rating of your bow.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my arrows are all rated for a 45 to 60 pound bow. And that tends to negate the wiggle that tends to throw an arrow off course a lot sooner.
Makes sense. We're kind of retrofitting and making some bootleg materials to make our arrows safe. And it's been said in other games that our arrows are the most dangerous part of our game. And I would agree to the point of that there's no courtesy padding on an arrow, but otherwise I think we're fine.
I mean, I would agree to the point that an open-celled arrow has no velocity to it.
That's true. You can like just catch dag arrows without trying because there's just these giant stop signs moving.
You're just shooting a pillow at somebody at that point.
Right. I mean, if they're not looking, great, but yeah. I like our speed in our game, and that's a big thing of our game is that we don't have weighted weapons. Our swords are feather, like just no weight at all. So the speed makes a difference.
We are the.
Nope. Go. I'm sorry. Go.
Oh, I was gonna make a joke, so go ahead.
I'm notorious for tearing my arrows apart. When I make them, I batch them. So I'll make a dozen at a time, and I'll batch them so I know I record how I did it, what I changed, everything else. I'm notorious for fairly often. And another danger game with archery, people don't inspect. They think they make an arrow and it's going to last a year.
No.
If you are a competent archer, your typical arrowhead is going to last, I mean, anywhere from a month to 2 months, depending on how fast you fire, and what you're. The penny capping, that camp pad. You see arrows that are camp pad with penny capping and everything else, and it's by the rules and everything else. I've gone through one of those in a.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second. We missed what you just said. You cut out for a second.
Yep.
Oh, I've gone through the camp pad penny cap before in a day of park.
It's a tournament arrow.
You need to be aware of what's going on with your head. So tearing them apart, at least one in a batch periodically, and everything else. That's what makes, I think, archery as dangerous in our game as it can be. Is the fact that people aren't responsible about your gear. I mean, you really need to be responsible.
Yeah. We are playing a game that has danger involved. We are hitting each other with sticks or shooting each other with arrows at, I don't know, some stupid speed. And we've got to protect ourselves. The flip side of that is keeping your arrows in better maintenance is probably going to give you a better shot overall. If your arrow's getting loose, it's probably not firing the same. I know for one of mine, the head started rotating and the shot went, like, I just put that one off to the side because I'd fire and it just way off to the left or way off to the right.
Same thing with your fletchings.
Yeah.
I've gone now to using the quick fletching. So if I have a fletching that's starting to go bad, I tear them all off and
the sleeves. Yeah, those are great.
They hold up well. They're easy to put on. And they keep you.
Mm-hmm. Cena made the point that keep on the Borderlands is pretty bad when it comes to Reeves either not bothering to check arrows or just not knowing how to check an arrow correctly,
or checking too hard.
Yeah, I remember you told me about that all your bow and your arrows all got thrown off for like a blank shot at 5 feet or like a full draw at 5 feet.
Yeah, into somebody's kidney.
That's not what they're for.
Yeah, it was a dag player or a bell player, I don't remember which, that got pulled into Reeve and check weapons, and that's how they opted to check all of my arrows.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's not good for their kidney. That's also not the right way to check our arrows.
Or
Like,
anybody's arrows. Like,
no.
why would you do that?
You really want to beat up your kidney.
I mean, the way we drink.
Internal,
just
external.
a spot, please.
All right. Any other points on equipment? Because it is a big factor that any class that uses a bow needs, but especially archer.
Oh,
Quiver. Find
Yeah.
a quiver you like. I still have not.
what was the guy? Something Tails.
Oh,
He was at Keep as a vendor.
Nope, I can't remember. Can't do it.
I'd have to look him up and like post it in the comments or something like that.
Send it to me. It'll get in the YouTube chat.
Oh yeah,
Hashtag golf bags for life.
Golf bags for life.
I used my golf bag for so long, but I have one quiver that I wear on my back from Shorty. It is held up amazingly. It's partially water hardened leather, so it doesn't collapse in on itself, and also it's curved, so it keeps the arrows under a slight tension,
It's
and
that
they don't
green
fall
one
out.
you have, right?
No, not the green one. This is the dark brown one.
Okay.
The green one was an old golf bag.
Okay, I'm getting mixed up. That's yeah.
I have noticed that the back ones tend to always be bad. Like it's hard to move around with arrows here. It's like it's
Mhm.
got to be on the hip with some type of weight in the bottom.
Yeah, I do both.
So, Aeolus, you have like a trash bucket on your back when you run around.
I use the cement forms from the hardware store from Menards or whatever. One tube actually cut in half, and you have two. And I've got modular where I can do up to 4 together, so I can carry 75 to 80 time if I want, or I can carry just 25 to 30 if I just want to break it down to one. I can really vary how I do it. And then for my specialty arrows, I keep them on my hip, on my belt, and I use it's a drill holder, a cordless drill holder. You can get them at Harbor Freight for like $10 in the hammer area. I'm making some leather ones because I want it to look a little nicer, but they work great for my specialty arrows. All my specialty arrows will fit in that. They're right there on my. I'm only 5'5", so I run into some problems that other people don't run. Like I stab my foot constantly with my specialty arrows. I can't carry along because I have nowhere to put it. So I stick 2 daggers on my back underneath actually my quiver. But that's how I do that modular. It's actually a covered cement for doing cement.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
might try to.
I use.
I'm gonna try to grab some photos that because I've seen it many times because we go to the same park, but it's a really neat way to do it, and it works pretty well. It does stick out really far.
Here's my. This is the for my specialty carry on my hip on my side. Works pretty well. And then here's one of my back quivers. This is only a double. So that's one of my doubles. And
Looks like something you'd wear to go fight heresy.
I
We all
mean,
shoot at once.
here's a single. So the singles are a lot smaller. I've got a quad, right? A 4-2.
yeah.
It does slow you down a bit, but cardio is good.
Cardio is good. You used to running with arrows on your hips or your backs or wherever, especially for playing run and gun. I can't do a quiver. I'm bad at it. I just hand grab like a plebe, where I have like 4 arrows in my hand and the bow, and I'm just pulling from that. I look terrible, but
I've seen people be very effective with that, but it's not for me.
At the
I have
very least,
tendonitis.
at the very least, get a hammer loop.
I'm
For
gonna
your
have to look
belt?
into that.
You can hold like 3 or 4 of them in there easily,
Mhm.
and as long as you keep your hand on when you're running, yeah, they won't pop out.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll have to look into something like that. Any more equipment?
Oh, do not rest your bow on either of the horns at the ends.
Yeah,
The
okay.
thing where the string goes. I can't remember the name of it right now. What will happen is the ground will basically sandpaper off any of the fiberglass resin or, the wood sealant, whatever, and you'll end up getting dust particles in between the layers of wood or fiberglass. You will self-destruct your bow.
So rest it on your foot if you're putting it
Yes.
in that case. Okay. Just more maintenance
Have
things.
extra strings. I love beaver balls. They make your shot so much quieter.
Mhm.
So much quieter. They slow it down just a little bit. The noise difference. Especially.
Hope you cut out for that last bit again.
Especially
we got
if
like
you're playing
one
like
word.
Road Assassin or something like that.
Okay.
Where you want to be especially quiet. They actually do make it a lot quieter.
Awesome.
Beaver balls. Okay. For those that don't know, they're the little fuzzy balls. I think they normally come in like a strip of fabric or leather with the fuzz on it, and then you wrap it around and tie it up.
Mm-hmm.
On Amazon, they're actually called beaver balls.
Cool. We have an official Amazon link we can put in there. We'll move on to our next question. So this is a debate that's been going around somewhat recently. Some people are unhappy with the 52 credit path to get from 1 to 6, or 53 credit path to get to 1 from 6, where for most people it takes 6 months to a year to level from 1 to 6. Do you guys think that having that somewhat slow progression is important for people to learn their abilities and things?
I think for some classes, yes. For a class like Archer, not really. I mean, take like a healer or a wizard or any of them that have a large spell list to choose from. Leveling slowly might help them more because it would give them more time to learn spells at each level rather than going for, the 60 odd spells there are all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But a class like a archer, scout, warrior, any of the martial classes, really, they don't really benefit from that slow leveling because there's like 10 abilities.
I mean, true.
And with Archer, so much of it is stuff you typically develop on your own. I mean,
Yeah.
I during when amp guard's going on, 3 to 5 times a week at least, I fire. You're constantly shooting. You're constantly improving by yourself. You don't need Park to improve and leaps and bounds with so many drills you could do on your own. And a lot of it is you can have someone with the same ability with bad gear, same ability with good gear, and it makes a night and day difference. Unfortunately, it is a really.
It's like Warrior in that fact, where you've got to make the investment to get a little farther, and not little to get a lot farther. Aiden, you got anything?
Yeah, so I think back in the day, yes, when I first started, I think the slow leveling was important, but not anymore. Back then, traveling to other parks wasn't easy. Getting to Amtgard wasn't easy. There weren't huge games. But now that there are, we all should be playing with the same rules. And having certain people who are out at these games playing at different rules because they haven't been in the game long enough, it adds to a lot of confusion in the games. We should all be playing the same thing.
Right. It's been interesting to hear the different opinions on do we need the slow level or do we not need the slow level, and a lot of it comes down to the amount of dedication you put into learning your class. Like if you want to be a Paragon, you're obviously going to spend night and day looking through the book trying to figure out a way to get better. If you want to just come out and shoot and play, maybe the slow level is better because you're not going to get a new ability every 2 weeks or something like that. I lost my train of thought. I had a transition, now it's gone. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to the beginning, when you guys are level 1s, what are 3 things you wish you knew about playing Archer when you started playing Archer or when you started trying to go for Paragon?
I would say one, how to make safer equipment. At the beginning of the game, our stuff was not safe.
No, no.
And we learned and we learned and we made it better. I just wish that learning curve had started a lot earlier.
Yep.
We're in a really good place right now. Two, I don't have to be at Amtgard to be shooting. Practice at home. Find ways to go out on your own and practice archery, just to get out there doing it. And the third thing, don't dry fire your bow, especially indoors. I had glass in my hair from the light bulb for a week after finding that out.
Good job, Aiden.
I'm sorry. That's really funny. You guys?
For me, investment. Rather than buying the cheap Walmart arrows, save up some money and get some decent stock. They will last longer on the field and they can take more abuse. Those Walmart arrows are they shatter easy if they get stepped on. Whereas I have arrows of this type. I took them to Clan where we had people stomping on them on purpose and everything, and they couldn't break them. So it's worth a little bit of extra money to do it that way. Second, just practice. Don't rely on going to parks, similar to what Aiden said, especially during this pandemic. If you want to get good at Archer during the pandemic, find a place in your city that allows you to shoot. Bring your arrows, set up a shield, or get a friend because they're going to be like 50 to 75 feet away and have them hold a shield for you and switch off. Hit some moving targets. It's lots of fun. And third, just don't be that guy. You know what guy I'm talking about. The one who just gets real nasty with all the other players, thinks they're better than everybody else. That was me when I first started. I have, adulthooded since then.
We grew into being not assholes.
Yes.
Not
Aeolus?
assholery is a skill. Aeolus, what you got?
I second the safe gear. Keep in mind that fast is slow and slow is fast. Build your. Don't get frustrated when you're starting off because it can be frustrating. Keeping the arrow knocked can be frustrating. You're going to be firing for months before you can consistently even knock and keep everything together.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to try things. Try everything. What works for me is not going to work for this person. Might work for this person. Experiment. Don't be afraid. Archery in the beginning really intimidated me. I thought there was a set. This is how it be, and it wasn't until I started trying my own stuff and just doing wacky stuff that I really started getting better and better. I mean, even something crazy like at park. If guys he's throwing the air, shoot him out of the air, or balls, or there's always ways to improve. At home, if you don't have a place where you shoot that does 50 feet, in your house against a couch, aim for the crack. It's only 20 feet, but 20 feet is 20 feet. You can even practice. I practice my half draw all the time because if you don't have to think about it, you can actually it becomes really effective. Where you don't have to think about it. Someone's rushing you, they're too close. You can still get them. You can still stop them. So all ranges are really important. But just have fun with it and keep trying new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most from what I experience.
There's a TikTok video that Dryer Baker put up. Come try LARP.
Parker.
Yeah, Parker. You just put up a shower curtain in a hallway and then shoot at it. And as long as it's a heavy enough shower curtain, you're just dropping your arrows right there, paint a target on it, whatever. That's a cheap, easy option to, keep practice. Even in, like, we're all up in the Midwest, so it's cold and it's snow outside, so I don't really want to go shoot a bow outside. But I'll shoot it in my hallway because it's like 25 feet, but it's still a hallway. It's better than nothing.
I shoot my couch all the time. The cats don't even get bothered. They'll be sitting up on top of the couch, and I'll be shooting the cracks of the couch, and they don't even flinch.
That is training.
That's cats.
Yeah, arrow whizzes by. You missed. Get back. So the 3 things you guys wished you knew. Now that you're in, excuse me. Now that you're Paragons, you've been playing for a while. What are abilities that you definitely go to every time? Like things that you like, specialty arrows that you really like. Knowing how certain mechanics work and things like that. Are there specific powers, abilities, or game mechanics that you guys really focus on learning?
How powerful suppression arrows are. Especially if you don't kill the caster with it. If you kill the caster with it, you might as well have shot him with a regular arrow. But suppression arrows are also extremely effective against barbarians because they cannot fight after death if you hit them with a suppression. Along that line, pinning arrows and barbarians. You can kill a barbarian with a pinning arrow, and if they fight after death, they don't get to move. And it's really funny when they figure that out.
Aiden,
the sniper ability is way better than you think it is. Especially when you properly use your recharge. Get good at it.
Yep.
Say it over and over again. While you're at work, repeat it to yourself.
Put it to a beat.
Yep. Because if you can get your arrows, your specialty arrows over and over again quickly, you're golden.
Halos, anything?
It's gonna sound stupid, but for me, cardio and precision. Those are the 2 things I rely on the most. The cardio, for me, the way I play is key. It really, really makes a difference. Precision, there's a lot of times where my target will be 2 or 3 people deep, and I will pick that shot. I'll go past 2 or 3 people and make a solid hit where I need it to go, and people are like, "What the hell was that? What the heck was that?" Precision for me is. I don't do long distance shots as much. I tend to be that about 30-footer. But for me, cardio, precision, just making that shot at the big difference. And then speed shooting. I've got my shot down pretty fast. I'm not as fast as a lot of the guys. Some of those guys are crazy. But I'm fairly fast. So that makes a difference. That made a difference for me enjoying it in the field a lot.
That's a good transition to what are abilities and things you want to focus on, like outside the field. What are things you can do in your everyday life just to get better at being an archer? I mean, we mentioned just keep repeating the charging cant to yourself over and over and over again and getting faster at that. I know that for anybody that needs the charging cant, do it. Like,
yes,
it's super useful. It's not that long, and once it's in your head, it's there like forever.
It doesn't go away.
No, it's kind of catchy. Like awkwardly. So outside the game, things that you guys you work on or things that you can do in your everyday life that make it easier to continue getting better.
Grip training for me, that was a big part of it. Gives me a lot more endurance, and the best way for me to do that was making chainmail. Electric fencing wire. You do a few thousand of those links, and your hands are really strong.
Yeah.
Nobody plays that little handshake crush game with me anymore.
That's also a good point. Is that archers can wear armor, and you probably should do it if you can, because armor is which we'll get to later in a couple seconds or a couple minutes. We talk for longer than seconds. The importance of armor. We'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would say is moving in armor. Get used to moving in armor and shooting in your armor,
Hmm.
because a lot of armor can really stop you from being able to shoot accurately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons I prefer cloth or chain for archer rather than leather.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna sound stupid, but this little callus right here on top of your finger, that is critical. Those calluses on your fingers that you get, nurture them, keep them
Oh
up
yeah.
because it makes a difference on your string how long you can shoot a day without making a bloody mess. Training the people you play with. Um, I constantly, when people die playing with them, on the way back to spawn point, they're grabbing my arrows. When I go back to spawn point, I usually have a stack of arrows there waiting for me. I stick them in there and I'm good to go. So them know, or they'll come right up and stick a special arrow in my side, and put it on my back. I mean, the people learn what makes you more effective. That teamwork makes a big difference. And then lunges. When you're picking up arrows all day long and you're doing those lunges, at the end of the day, to avoid the cramps that you will get, do lunges. It's
Hmm.
yeah, Turkish lunges especially because it sounds stupid, but it makes a difference because you're doing lunges all day long picking up arrows.
Yep.
Getting fit. This sounds like almost as bad as like getting used to your armor as a warrior. Like, all right, bench 35 pounds, be able to squat 200 pounds, and then you'll be a good archer. Continue. It's something we've talked about we've only done 3 of these, but bard, paladin, and archer can all wear armor, and just getting used to your armor has always been a big factor, because if you're not used to how it feels, you're gonna play subpar in that equipment. It's not gonna feel the same.
Yeah.
And,
Abe?
mm-hmm.
Sorry.
You're good. Go. I'm sitting back here. You guys are the stars.
I was going to turn it over to Aiden because he's been suspiciously quiet this time.
No.
Yeah.
If we've got that out of the way, then we're going to move on to, from my perspective, and completely correct me if I'm wrong, there are 2 general types of, you can kind of categorize archers into either turret style or running gun. Is that correct, or is there another one that I'm missing?
I mean, like Eola said earlier, there is the mid, like the
Okay.
person who is in between the two. Yeah.
So we've got the turret, the running gun, and the midliner. Kind of like
If
that.
you
Right.
carry enough arrows, you can be turret anywhere.
If you can get a trash bag where you want.
Well, the other thing that works really well if you're being mobile but not run and gun,
Mhm.
Those golf bags with the kickstands,
Oh yeah.
those are awesome.
mobile ammo hotspots. Yes.
Yep.
The-
Especially if you get a group of archers in a large game.
Was it? Oh, okay. So I think it was 6 years ago from this story, and Ben, you're the one that told it to me. Vincent, you're the one that told it to me. Where Quiet brought a garbage, like a 55-gallon drum garbage bag, garbage cylinder, trash can. Brought a trash can to the field of just phase arrows.
Yes.
Were there wheels on that by any chance, or did he just have like pages carrying it around?
It was either him carrying it or other people.
Oh my god.
It was a wild day, and it was a very effective use of sniper.
I mean, if you never have to go pick up arrows, there's you can just keep going. So the benefits of the pros and cons of turret and running gun, because they're I mean, they've got different pros and cons to them, obviously.
Mhm.
What are some pros and cons, and is one or one of the 3 better than the other in your opinion, or do you think that it's important to be able to be bouncing around between all 3 as needed?
I don't think any of them are personally better than the others. I think it's entirely situational and usually dependent on the size of the field. Now, for a park level, you're probably going to want to run and gun, especially if you have a rather large playing field. Like, take Icehaven, for example. Our playing field is massive. If we have a 12-person game or something like that, you're going to want to move around. A kingdom level event, you're probably going to either want to go. You could do run and gun, but personally, I prefer either turret or midline. Inner kingdom events, I am very firmly in the turret category because I don't want to get steamrolled.
Yep, I like in big battles going with turret, but you always got to be ready to go to that mid level. If you see a spot that needs
Mhm.
help, be willing to grab a bunch of arrows and get over there. Yeah.
I know, Ayla's, you do mostly midline and a lot of running.
A lot of run.
It's a lot of
I
run.
think being able to, I think being able to play all of them, even if you have a favorite, being able to do it all, that's what separates a lot of people.
Separates it,
Just being able to effectively do it all.
yeah, the chaff from the Paragon.
Mhm.
Yep. Being able to be versatile is an important thing. All right, so now
Yeah.
that we've gotten to our spicy bit. This is gonna be fun. So for context for everyone else, there's a discussion going on around Amcard that archers are somewhat broken because nobody wears armor. How do you guys take that as Paragon archers? Do you see, like, if an entire field is running around and there's like 4 warriors in armor, do you feel like gods?
Not really. I mean, so there are several classes with ways around arrows.
Mhm.
Monks can block them. Healers, I believe, are the ones who get pro proj.
Yep.
Druids get stone skin.
Mhm.
And 90% of the classes can wear armor. You don't need to wear 6 points of armor to be wearing armor.
Yes.
A
1
warrior
point
can.
is just as effective as 3.
Yeah.
This is true. It's, yeah.
I mean, it used to be where an archer would deal, what, 6. 6.
This is V7. I'm
Um,
very bad at that.
Oh, yeah. You could, 2 shots, you could take down a warrior in full play. It was ridiculous. And we used to have an arrow, and I miss it so much, the armor piercing arrow. It would ignore armor.
Yep. We used to be able to take down fully armored people. Now
Yeah.
we can't go through cloth.
Yes. So, like, people are talking about how archer is just so OP. There's 80 bajillion things that can be done to stop an arrow.
Yep.
Like, armor is not the only thing at all.
Yep. I think armor or arrows versus no armor is balanced. I think that is realistic. Yeah. If you're not wearing armor, that is a personal choice unless you have a class that doesn't have it.
You know what the ultimate counter to an arrow is? I'll do it.
It's a sword.
Just get out of the way.
Just take that sidestep and you're done. It's
Pay
very
more-
easy.
Pay more attention, get out of the way. Like, carry a shield. But I don't think if we remove armor, we have to remove archery because otherwise unfair. No. I think that's a silly way of looking at it.
Mhm.
Right, because if you get rid of armor, just get rid of some of the specialty arrows then.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
A
So-
regular arrow versus a regular person should still be a one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of their concern, is that the people that play and don't wear armor on a large scale, and these archers are one-shotting them, they feel slighted because they're used to, not being one-shot by everybody. But I mean, if you're not wearing
Everyone dies to foam.
right, so just hit him with it. It's an interesting, like, if people aren't wearing armor because they're choosing not to wear armor, that's their choice. They're purposely handicapping themselves, especially if they're playing any martial class, because you've got at least 2 points.
Yeah.
Besides monk, but then you just hand block away the arrows.
Hand block, weapon block, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even on hot days, You know what works great for hot days? A gambeson. You sweat into it, and that thing is better than Under Armour. Or douse it in water. Like,
Just it replicates the weight of chainmail when you get it all drenched up.
yeah, absolutely.
Or wear chainmail with nothing under it. Like, yeah, you'll be a little dirtier when you're finished, but breezes feel amazing.
That's true. I mean, unless you've got sharp edges on that
Cheese grate your
chainmail.
Yeah. Most chainmail that's going to cheese grate your skin. Oof.
Just get a long sleeve shirt and throw it away at the end of the day because it's gone probably. It's yeah, I put this in here specifically because there are discussions about nerfing archers because people don't wear armor as much. And
we already got nerfed. Come on, pick on somebody
right.
else.
So here's a follow-up question that I didn't put on the list, but you made me think of it. Does the piercing arrow need to come back?
I don't think so. I did love my armor piercing arrow, but Amtgard is such a target rich environment that I think warriors should have their fun.
When V8 first started, I would say yes, we definitely need it back. We need it. But after playing, it's like it's balanced.
Did we freeze again? No. Again. Okay.
There he
do
is.
some resets. Okay.
And he's back.
Yep. Thank you, Internet, for being terrible. Oh, nope. I want to do that. There we go. Okay.
And
so
honestly, every class needs a hard counter.
Mm-hmm.
Warrior is our hard counter. Monk depends on the skill of the monk, really.
Mm-hmm.
But a hard counter is somebody who, by default, if they're using, all their class equipment, they will turn us into paste. Like a warrior can run through an archer easy
if they can catch us.
If they can.
It's a good point. If they've got 6 points of armor on, they're probably not sprinting, fast.
As long as I can get through that first volley, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ayla, you didn't play in V7, correct? No. So, what is your opinion on a armor piercing arrow?
From the sounds of it, I think things are good. I've earned the nickname Armor Bane, so I do okay with it. A lot of it's just learning which arrows do what and when to make that. So if you can't break their armor or their shield, break their weapon.
Yep.
That's a tricky shot, but it's hysterical. Like, there's a rumor that if you can pull it off, you should be a Paragon wizard. Of if you have a fireball that's active and someone goes to throw a shot at you and you toss it up and block the shot with the fireball as it leaves your hand. I think there should be a similar thing for archers to, like, if someone's coming in to shoot you and you just pop their their weapon before it hits. That's some quick fire.
That or shooting a spell ball out of a wizard's hand. There is picture evidence of me doing that to Winter.
That's amazing.
At Clan. Yep. He's just got his hand out like this. And you can see like his fingers bent to the side because I had just shot it. I felt a little bad because it hurt his finger, but I was so proud of that shot.
He better have taken that shot.
Oh, he did.
Getting those really ridiculous shots. I remember specifically Tice came to a GAC, and if you guys haven't been to our GAC before, our listeners, there's a castle it's a fort, and it's got windows in it, and they're like 3-ish feet by 3-ish feet, and he was armed, so he shot me using his foot, like he was holding the bow on his foot, and he shot me through the window at like 30 feet. It was like most ridiculous shot I've ever seen. He just was waving at me through the window, smiling, just like, "Are you kidding me?" I think Archer lends itself to some of those legendary things because you pull off those shots. Like Vincent, you have one where you bounced was it a pinning arrow or a destruction arrow on like 3 shields?
Pinning, and it was 5.
That's ridiculous.
It was basically a shield wall that was surrounding us, and I was on the left side of our little group, and I just got at just the right angle, and their shields were at the right spot, and it just zipped right around, pinned all of them, and we just walked away.
There are very few classes that lend itself to that legendary kind of feel that happens when you get those ridiculous those things that are ridiculous to pull off. It's very fun. So those are all my questions. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we open up the floor?
Not particularly.
Okay, so if you are in our chat and muted, you can currently unmute yourselves, and ask any questions you guys have for our panel of Paragons here.
Question coming from Cena. Compared to the other classes that are also able to use a bow, is Archer your favorite, or was it more your first love?
Both.
For me, it was first love, and I've really not done anything else. Yeah.
Aeolus?
I got mixed feelings on this one. I enjoy Archer a lot, but I've really enjoyed a lot, and I'm going to be trying Druid coming. So, but there's a purity with Archer that there's just days where it just feels when your shots are on and you're having fun and people are laughing, you don't get a groin shot. Those days make Archer just that much better. So there is a purity there. It just makes it a blast. You're really concentrating on one or two things.
Wait, so we're not supposed to shoot people in the groin? This is news. When did this happen?
I mean, I've said it a couple times that bow users have an ability to take somebody out of the game if they really feel like it. It's called just shooting him in the dick, but you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
I've had to explain that to a lot of people. For me personally, I'm known for having dick-seeking arrows, and I've never purposefully shot someone in the groin. I figured it out for me. It's a matter of where a shield sits. Where if I'm going for a kill shot, I have one spot on either side, and if they move 4 to 6 inches either way in the process, it's going to be groin. So unfortunately, I've kind of learned to take more leg shots or shoulder or whatever, but for me, that's usually when they happen.
Yeah,
going around a shield or bad wind or whatever.
And you want your arrow to be going down. You don't want it to be going up or near anyone's face. So yeah, like a lot of times it might start here, but it'll lead down and it'll end up a groin shot. Yeah.
Gravity is a cruel mistress.
Just sniping people's dicks from 30 feet out. Just like, oh, it's mean. I think the other factor that comes in, and people complain about dick shots so much, is everyone's swords are up here. Like when you're fighting, it's kind of hard to get a dick shot because you have to go kind of low and then back up around a shield. But arrows are right at that right. I mean, they're coming in at the right angle. Your weapon, they're not coming down on anything. They're coming they're coming down from a lower perspective. But it's also, you have a lot of shots. I would argue that archers shoot more shots around that midsection than anybody else in the field because this midsection is kind of hard, especially if you got a board. It's hard to hit with a sword, but an arrow, someone turns a little bit, right in there.
Plus, you'd rather it be there than the face.
Yeah.
Face, throat.
That is one of the things that an archer is always worried about, is aiming too high.
Right. We don't want to hit people in the face. We don't want to take people out of the game for, getting hit in the face or anything like that, or getting hit in the throat. It's dangerous, but we accept the risk and the fun that it comes with. Any other questions? comments, concerns, personal attacks on myself?
Oh, I got those.
Moving into V9, what one change would you make to Archer?
Shields. I want our shields back.
You had shields?
Oh, God.
We had
Yes,
shields
we
in
did.
V7. Yes, you could carry a shield. Yes, and it was amazing. And you could wear armor more than 1 point. Yeah, it was.
Small shield is strapped to the hand.
Yep. And what, like 3 points of armor? 4 points? Yeah.
That's a lot of armor.
Yep.
Mhm. It was a lot easier to break armor back then.
Right, because people were shooting for 3 or 4 points.
And
Yeah.
also back then, there was a different type of balance where if I was playing Archer, I could be the only Archer on my team. You couldn't have a second Archer unless you had more than 7 people playing.
Oh, yeah.
Right, they had the number of people per play, yeah. I know that was broken a lot with Wizards and things like that, because it was supposed to be like 1 to 10 or whatever, and it did not happen very often, so the Wizards are just wrecking face. Talking about V9, is there anything from V7 that was kind of like kitschy or campy that you'd like to see? Or Aeolus, is there anything that you'd like to see that's kind of kitschy or campy brought into V9 for Archer? Like they have to have a Robin Hood hat or something silly like that.
God, no.
That'd be fun. No, I guess off the top of my head. Sorry.
No, was there? I don't. So I know that like bards had to have instruments, wizards had to have a hat of some sort. Was there anything that the archers had to have specifically, or was it just the bow was the signifier?
Oh,
It was the bow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly would like to see damage come back.
Like points of damage. So
Yeah.
instead of everything being a one shot, it's multiple points.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying yelling 5
Mhm.
in big groups of people. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of
Yeah.
damage.
It was, but you still had to hit that same target again.
Yep.
Right. It'd be interesting to see the mechanics that are moving forward, because there's a lot of people that really like certain things about V7. V8 is a lot simpler and easier for everyone to pick up, and I think we're going to see kind of a merging of the two probably towards V9.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Any other questions? No? All right. Then that's where we'll close tonight. It's been an
1
hour.
week.
It's been a long week. So thank you all for coming and joining us, and thank you for Paragons to join and talk about this discussion. The video will be up sometime this week when I get over to it, and the podcast will be up on those Spotify and podcast app and a couple other ones as soon as I get that set. So thank you all. I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Paragon Path. If you like our content, please like, subscribe, or follow on any way you can. If you would like to see more of our content, please follow us anywhere you can find us on Spotify, Google Music, YouTube Music, anywhere that you get your podcasts from. Also, we are available on YouTube and have our own channel. Please subscribe and like as normal, and we'll hope to see you next time.